Welcome back everyone to another video. And so in this video we'll be discussing about tuples. Now in the previous video we have discussed about data types, we have discussed something more about list, and here in this video we'll be having a quick recap as well as we'll be going a little bit deep in tuples. Now what is a tuple actually? Tuple, as I've said in my previous video, tuple is a sequence of immutable objects, and you create a tuple using parentheses, whereas in list you use square brackets. Now let's have some characteristics of tuple. The elements in tuple are ordered, they are lightweight because they are immutable. The indexing is a zero-based index. This means that let's say you have a tuple, let's say z1, 2, 3 and 4. The indexing for this tuple starts from 0, then 1, 2 and 3. These are the elements and these present over here are the indexes. Immutable. I have said this in my previous video, I'm saying it as well. Immutable means the elements in a tuple can't be edited. You can't delete those elements, you can't add those elements. This is what you call immutability. Heterogeneous. Heterogeneous means that suppose you have a tuple, let's say 1, 2, 3, and then let's say a floating point number, then let's say a string like this. This is a tuple having heterogeneous data within itself. Like these are all integers. This is a float, and this is a string over here. Nestable. Nestable means suppose you have a tuple, let's say x equals to 1, 2, and you have another tuple, let's say 3 and 4. These are the elements within the tuple, and the third element, this whole thing is the third element, and the third element itself is a tuple which has other two elements 3 and 4. This is what you call nested tuples. Iterable. Now in Python, any sequence in Python is iterable. This means that you can run a for loop or you can run any kind of loop which goes through the sequence. It fetches the element, and using those elements you can do any kind of operations. Like if you have integers, you can add those integers, or you can maybe subtract, maybe multiply. If you have a string, you can perform certain string operations with itself, anything. Whenever it is iterable, you can run a loop and you can perform any kind of operations as your requirement. Sliceable. Sliceable means suppose you have a tuple, let's say this one only, and I want to fetch the third element. So the indexing starts from 0, 1 and this is 2. This is the third element. So I say x2. This will fetch the third element. Or if I say x2 is 2, let's say 4, it will fetch 2 and 3. Means 3, this one, and 4.5, this one. This is sliceable. And combinable, which combinable means you can add to tuples. Suppose you have a tuple, let's say x2, you have a tuple over here x1, you can create a new variable, let's say res, and you can add these two tuples. Simple. This means that you can add tuples. Not only tuples, you can add any sequence data type. The only condition is it should be same or similar. Like you can't add a list with a tuple, right? So if you're having two lists, you can add two lists. If you're having a tuple, you can add two tuple. If you have a string, you can concatenate two string. And this is what we call concatenation. This is not actually adding, but concatenating two strings. Adding means suppose you have let's say over here you have 4, and then another number, let's say 5. you're adding it, it comes to 9. But suppose you have a string 4 and a string 5. When you add it, it becomes 45, which is also a string. This is what you call concatenation. Now let's move on to a little bit practical operations on tuple. So here we are in VS Code, and let's perform certain tuple operations. First one is creating a tuple. So let me add a comment, creating a tuple. Yeah. So tup1 equals to, you can create a tuple, I mean an empty tuple using parentheses, and you can print the tuple. Let's run the program, and you can see over here you have a tuple, this one. This one, as you're seeing over here, this is what you call a tuple. This is an empty tuple. Okay, so let's now move on to some other operations. Let's see, let's put a single element. So tube1 equals to, let's say, 5. Now let's print tube1. Let's run this. As you can see over here, we have 5. But hold on, what's this? In this code, as you're seeing over here, this one is printing a tuple, but this is not printing a tuple, this is printing an integer. Let's do a type check once. So over here, let's put the cursor and then use the type function. Same for here. And now let's run this. Let's see what happens. See, over here, let me remove this. Over here, the first one, this is giving tuple, but for here the second one, it is giving an integer. The reason being that Python is interpreting this 5 as an integer. If you want to interpret it as a tuple or any other sequence type, you have to add a comma. So for this, if I put a comma, and now if I, let's say, run this, so let me remove the edits. Now if you see it, the first one also and for the second one, we are getting tuple as the type. So remember, whenever you want to create a tuple which is having only one element, please add a comma over here. If you don't add a comma, Python will automatically interpret as its native data type. Suppose if instead of 5 I have, let's say, a string like this. Let's say if I have a string like this, the output will be string. There will be no parenthesis over here. To interpret it as a tuple, you need to add, let's say, string and then a comma and then close the parenthesis. For this, you will get the output as this. Okay, so this is how you create a tuple. Now let's move on to some other operations. Let's create a tuple of multiple integers. Creating a tuple of integers. Let's say I have tube1, I have 5 integers. I can print tube1. Let's add let's create a tuple of characters. Why not? um, D and over here E. Let's print this to 1. I can also create I haven't mentioned over here, creating a tuple of characters. I can also create a tuple of strings. What is that? Yeah, tuple of strings. So for that, let's create, let's say, another tuple, not the same one, and instead of single quotes, I'm using double quotes. But whatever you're using, it will be a string. Like if you are using single quotes A or double quotes A, these are same. This both of this are same, because in Python there is no concept of characters. In Java or in C or maybe in C++, you have the concept of characters, or the char or the char, whatever you say it, data type, the character data type you have there. But in Python there's only string data type. You don't have this character data type. So what happens is, if you create a string, let's say with double quotes, single quote, or maybe in triple quotes, both of this, I mean the three of this are same, they are equal. So for just for the Java person or the C++ person, we are using like this A. But for everyone to get the thing, instead of just using A or just single characters, let me use something more than this so everyone could understand. So let's say ABC DF GEH, oh sorry, GHI GKL, I mean no, yeah, I have 5 strings, and then in cube 2 I can also create a tuple of floating point or decimal, or you see real numbers. Tuple of real numbers. For that you need to use, I am using another tuple, let's say q3 equals to 1.5, 6.7. These are just random numbers, 7.9, 9.3, and let's say 12.6. I have 5 elements, 5 real numbers, and I can print the tuple. Now let's create a heterogeneous elements. Creating heterogeneous elements in tuple. So tube 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.7, 8.6, string 1, string 2. I have boolean value over here. Now let's print this tube 4, and if I run the program, you can see over here it is running every program. So the first one, this two ones out the outputs, this two ones are the outputs of 1 and 2. This is for this one, the tuple of integers. This one is for the characters. This one is for this strings. And if I move down over here, the tuple of strings, and then over here we have real numbers, and as well as heterogeneous elements in a tuple over here. These are the heterogeneous elements. Like we have 1, 2, 3 over here. As you can see, we have 1, 2, 3. These are all integers. 4.7, 8.6. These are float or real numbers, whatever you say it. In Python, we say as floating point numbers. We have string, which is a sequence data type. We have true, which is a boolean data type. We have another value, false, true and false. Yeah, you know it. So this is how you create a tuple. You can add elements to a tuple. Now let's learn about the utility of tuple. In real world applications, tuples are extremely useful for representing records or structures, as we call in other programming languages. These structures store related information about a subject together. This information belongs to different data types. For example, we have a tuple that stores information. Let's say if I open this, yeah. For example, we have a tuple. Let's say which has elements, roll number, name, and course, total marks, and then average. If we carefully observe these values or these individual elements, we can see they have different data types. For example, roll number can be an integer, name can be a string, course can also be a string. Now string means an alphanumeric data type. In name you cannot have an alphanumeric data type because names are always letters and alphabets, but in course you may have a number with itself. Total marks, you can say it as float, because sometimes you get the total marks as a floating point number or in a decimal format. Average is same, this for the safer side, right? You can have average as float. And some built-in functions also return a tuple. For example, we can use the divmod function. Let's use it because just saying can't help, right? Let's use the divmod function, and what this does is it returns the question as well as the remainder. Like when you divide a number by another number, you get a question as well as remainder. Let me write, then I can explain it. First of all, we need to learn about the multiple assignment. So what is multiple assignment? Let me write it. Multiple assignment. What is multiple assignment? Suppose we usually we create assignments like this: a equals 5 or b equals to 6, right? But in multiple assignment we can do it in one line. So a comma b equals to 5 comma 6. And now if we print a comma b, and now if we run this, see, in the end over here we can see it is 5 and 6. So this is what we call multiple assignment. Now with the same thing, let's use the divmod function. It is a built-in function you can find in Python. So let's create a variable, let's say question, and remainder divmod, let's say 100 comma 3, means 100 is the dividend and 3 is the divisor. Now if I print quotient is quotient and remainder is remainder. Now if I print this, it's very simple because we have learned about division in lower classes. like you have a number, and then you have, this is the dividend, this is what we call as the dividend, and this is what we call as the divisor. And when we divide a number, like 3 into 3 is 9, we have 1 0, 3 is 3 9, and we have 1. The 1 over here, this is the remainder, and over here this is the quotient. And when we use the div mod function, we get it in the form of a tuple, like 33, 1. What we are doing is we are actually assigning this value as a, or quotient, the variable, and this as the remainder variable. Okay, and using this only we are able to print this, right? So now let's move on to accessing the values from a tuple. So accessing values in a tuple. Suppose I have tuple, let's say up 9. Okay, and now if I want to access, let's say, a range of elements from, let's say from this one, let's say from 4 to, let's say, 6, from 4 to 6. So what I can do is I can use the indexing. So 0, 1, 2, this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I want from index 3 to index 5. So in Python, the indexing works like this. You need to mention the variable, which is tuple in this case, then the square brackets. Now this is not like list. Like for example, you may think that is it, are we creating some kind of list and all? You are wrong, totally wrong. In sequence data type, whenever we need to fetch certain element, if you're coming from Java, it's similar like that. When you have to fetch a certain element, let's say just one element, or maybe even a range of element, what we do in Python is we specify the name of the variable, then a square bracket over here, and then the index. Suppose I want to fetch, let's say, number 8. I will say tuple and then 7, because 7 is the index, and it will fetch uh, 8. So if I want to fetch from 4 to 6, I need to say 3 is to 6. Now why 6? Because the indexing works like this. It will take the beginning index, or the beginning, I'm saying as begin, and this is the end. What it does is Python takes the begin and it goes on till end minus 1. It includes both of this, so I'm saying over here like this. If you're learning mathematics, we have this concept of open brackets and close brackets. Open brackets means, let's say you have 3 comma 4. It will not 3 comma 4, let's say 3 comma 5. It will only give from 3. I mean, it will not include 3, like from 3.0000 it will go on. Let's say 1 we have over here, let's say up to infinity, like this is up to infinity, so it will have infinite values, right? So it will give, the range will start from after 3, like it will not include 3, neither it will include 5. It will include all the elements between over here, the elements present between 3 and 5. Okay, get it? Now, when we use square brackets, this means that suppose we have 3 comma 5, it will include 3, it will include 5, as well as the elements present between those two elements, like it will include 3 and then all the elements like 3.0000 to like infinite number of values it will have between two numbers, right? We know this. So it will include all the values present between 3, and it will include 3, I mean between 3 and 5, it will include 3 as well as 5. This is what I meant to say. So if I have to say from 3 to 6, okay, I mean from 4 to 6, the function, I mean the solution set looks something like this. This is the index IB. IB means the begin index, and this is square brackets because Python will include this. I must use eraser. Yeah, IB, it will include all the elements present between IB and IE, but it will not include IE. This is what I meant to say. This is the simplest thing you need to know, that whenever you're doing indexing, like a range of elements you want to take out, the simplest thing you need to know this, I mean you need to keep in your mind is, in Python, the interpreter takes IB, it includes IB, all the elements present between IB and IE. IE is the end index. Okay, IB, it will include IB, it will include all the elements present between IB and IE, but it will never include IE. Okay, so let's run this tuple, and 3 to 6, it will print from 3 comma 4 comma 5. Let's do another one. Let's say is to 8. Is to 8, this one is 2. Over here this means that this one is 2. This means that it will include 0 to 8 like this. It will start from 0, put all the values between from 0 to 8, from 0, 1, 2, 3 like this. I mean the index I'm seeing over here, all the values present from 0, like it from 0 and 8. So I mean, like you have 0th index, you have 1, you have 2, these are the indexes I'm seeing. Oh, okay, all the elements present in the 0th index, the element present in the first index, I mean index 1, the element present in index 2, it will go from 0, 1, 2 up till 7. Okay, square bracket, remember this square bracket. If I have to say in the perspective of 8, it will go like this, a parenthesis. So 0 is to 8 means there is a 0 hidden. Remember this, there is a 0 hidden. It will start from 0, it will start from 0, it will include the 0th value, it will go all the way from 0 to 8, I mean all the elements present between 0 and 8, but it will not include 8. This is the simplest thing you can, I mean you can keep it in mind. So if I have to say the value, it will be from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is the 8th index? The 8th, this is 0. Let's write this for the sake of simplicity. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it will go uh, from 0 to from 1 to 8. 6, 7, 8. Now let's do this one. This one over here means the beginning index and the ending index is not mentioned. So it will print the whole list. I mean the whole tuple or the whole sequence. For this we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So it will print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm sorry. It will also print 9. The whole tuple it will print, because we haven't mentioned any beginning index or any ending index. So by default Python will think that the beginning index is over here 0, the ending index is 9, not 8, 9. So this means the beginning index is obviously 0, the ending index is length of the tuple or length of the sequence, because we are dealing with sequence data type. So 0 is to length of sequence. This means that 0 is to, for in this case the length is 9. So it will print 0 is to 8 square brackets. See over here we have a parenthesis over here 0 9, which means 0 1 2 3 up to 8. It will include 8, it will include the 0th index, it will include the 8th index, and the elements, I mean the index is present between these two index, right? And but over here 0th index to 8th index, but a square bracket, which means it will include the 0th index, it will include the 8th, I mean the 8, not the th, 8. It will include 0, it will include 8, the index, and also the other indexes present over here. Okay, this is how you access the indexes. Yeah, now if I run this, see, we have got 4, 5, 6, we have got this one up to 8, and then over here up to 9. Now let's move on to updating a tuple. As I've said before, you can't neither update, you can neither delete the tuple. The reason being simple, tuples are immutable. You can neither edit, neither delete, neither add, you can do nothing. Once a tuple is created, it's created, you can't do anything with the tuple. Full tuple will be shown. Okay. Basic tuple operations. Suppose I have x, and let's say the values are 1 2 3 4. I have another tuple, let's say 7 and 8. I have two tuples having the same length. I can now do print the length of the tuple, length x and length y. I can add two tuples. I can repeat a tuple, let's say x into 2. I can check whether a particular element is present in a tuple. I can also check what kind of I mean I can compare two tuples, right? Comparison means, suppose x equals to y, it should return true. If I say x greater than y, it should return false because they are equal. I can print out the maximum element in a tuple. I can print the minimum element in a tuple. I can convert a sequence data type. Sequence data type means it can be a string, it can be a list, it can be a set, it can be a dictionary to a tuple. Okay, that means let's say hello. To convert this to a tuple, you need to use the tuple function. Remember, that's why when I was creating the tuple variable, I have used capital letters because you can't use the reserved keywords in Python. I mean, in any language, you can't use the reserved keywords for creating a variable. Okay, you have to keep this in mind. I can use a list. Now let's run this. Okay, now let's where's my mouse pointer? Yeah. Okay, now let's move with this one. Oh, with from this one, our operations, basic operations start. So this is printing the length, which is 4. It's correct. We have added x plus y. That's why it's saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Over here, we are repeating the values in a tuple. We have multiplied x into 2. That's why it is giving 1, 2, 3, 4 into 2 twice. You can see over here. Now false. Why false? Let's see why it is giving false. Let's see. 5 in x. Is 5 present in x? Can you see 5 in x? No, hence false. 5 in y. Can we see 5 in y? Yes, it's the first element over here. That's why it's true. Now let's see, print x equals y. Is x equals to y? No, it's not equals to y. If I let's say if I create a variable, let's say z, and there I say this, and now if I say print x equals to z, see, we got a true over here. Over here we have got true. Okay, now x greater than y. No, we are not comparing. We have to check x greater than y. X greater than y means is the length of x is greater than the length of y. Is it? No, false. Now print the max value of x, which is 4. Yeah, minimum value of 5, I mean y, which is a tuple 5. Yeah, over here we have we are using the tuple function. We have the hello string over here, and it breaks the hello string in characters. See, h, and over here it is h, over here it is y, I mean e, it is over here l, again an l, and then o, hello. Then over here we have another list. Over here we have a list, and we are using the tuple function, and what this does is it takes the list data type or any sequence within its function parameters, and it converts this list to a tuple. See, instead of square brackets we have parentheses. Okay, So this was some basic operations, basic kind of operations we can perform using tuple. And now let's move on to the final part where we'll be learning some advantages of tuple. So as you can see over here, we have certain advantages of tuples over list. Thing is that list is, I'm sorry, I'm sorry with the spelling. List is mutable. Tuple, on the other hand, I've mentioned this, it's immutable. Since tuples are immutable, the iterating or the iteration through tuple is much faster than over list. For this immutability only, we can use tuple as a key for dictionary. We have learned this. Dictionary is a key value pair. Since tuples are immutable and a key must be unique, you can't edit the key, or I mean you can't change the key, right? So we can use tuples as a key. We can't use the list as a key because we can easily edit the values of I mean the elements of a list. So generally we either use an integer. Integer is also immutable. You can also create an integer as a key. It's your choice, but generally we don't use list as a key. We use maybe a string, maybe a tuple, maybe an integer, anything but not a list. Tuples are best suited for storing data that is write protected. Suppose you have a tuple like this, you want to change like this element, you can't do that. It's write protected. You can't, means in any at any point of time, once the tuple is created, it's created. You can't change, I mean you can neither edit nor add an element, or you can't even delete the element present in a list. What you can do is you can delete the whole tuple. That's the only thing you can do. You can delete the whole tuple, but you can't edit it at any point of time. Tuple can be used in places where the number of values is known and small. Reason being that when you know the number of values you need to add to a tuple, and if we see that the number of values is very small, we can use a tuple easily. Reason being that the first one, tuples iteration, or the if you want to iterate through a tuple, it is much faster than over a list. For the same reason only, we can use in certain places where the number of values or the number of elements, or you can say the length of a tuple, is much smaller. Okay, so this is certain, we have gone through about a little bit deep down with tuples. So if you like this video, then hit the like button, and if you're new to my channel, then hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon, so you never miss an update whenever I post any kind of video on Python, on Java. Maybe on in future we'll be seeing JavaScript. So yeah, stay tuned.